Hello! Welcome to the channel. My name is Melanie. I am super jazzed to be here as always. Today's video is going to be about the new moon in Aquarius, the first of 2020 and the first of our new moon series coming up this January 24th. It's happening! 4 main parts. We're going to talk about Aquarian archetype and the energy that we can hopefully look to use during this lunar cycle. We're going to do some visualization and some self-reflection of our own lives so that we can kind of seek out a target for this new moon cycle. We're going to actually set some new moon intentions, get very clear, write them down on paper, and know what we're going for. And then we're going to create some positive affirmations that will support us in achieving these goals and help keep our intentions at the forefront of our brain during our day-to-day mundane lives. Without further ado, what are some positive traits of the Aquarian archetype or the Aquarians of the world? They are extremely intellectual. They are an air sign, so air rules often the more cognitive aspects of our lives. Aquarius is very much forward thinking. They have beautiful ideals and ideas of what the future of the world and societies in general could be, but as well as themselves or any kind of structure. They are very unique individuals and often very lovingly referred to as the aliens of the zodiac because they definitely seem to always march to the beat of their own drum. Whether they are introverted or extroverted in the way that they do this really depends on some of the other planetary placements that they've got going on. But an Aquarian is very much so unique, and they don't really think inside any box, ever. Aquarians are the revolutionaries of the world, the beatniks, the adventurers on the frontier of most fringe science or the occult or spirituality. These people will bravely go where no one's gone before in the pursuit of something larger, greater, grander. It often confuses a lot of people because you hear Aquarians referred to as kind of cold and aloof, and they can very much be so, especially in close personal relationships. They are not extremely emotionally expressive because they are always so much in their head and so much thinking about the future or goals, but more in the way of hopes and dreams and ideals. This gets a little bit confusing when you realize that Aquarius is the ruler of the 11th house. The 11th house is the area of the sky and the house that kind of controls humanitarianism and large social groups and society structures. Lots of people don't understand how Aquarius can seem so distant and aloof in a close personal relationship, but care so passionately about the direction of humanity itself. And that is the kind of oddity behind Aquarius energy, is that they might not care much on a personal note every day, but man, do they work very hard to move humanity as a whole forward. The 11th house is our friends, our societies, networking at work, your colleagues, your circles of people, any kind of charity. The Red Cross is an Aquarian kind of thing. Not only is the 11th house the house of humanitarians and charities and kind of large groups, but it is also the house of our hopes and our dreams and our ideals. This is why Aquarians often seem very futuristic or aloof, because they just don't really care about right now, maybe. Unless if we're getting into the actual nitty-gritty of how to make movement in the direction of hopes and dreams and ideals and this very visionary. It's a great word for it. Aquarians are visionaries. They see these ideals and the best and the best that our society can be, the best that they can be, and they have a lot of faith in humanity. Might not be the right word, but they have a lot of hope for humanity, and they really do work very hard to bring us as a whole closer to the or to their ideal. Yes, some of the Aquarian energy can get a little bit stubborn when it comes to their ideals, their dreams, and their hopes for humanity compared to others. So let's take a look at some of the shadow aspects of the Aquarian archetype. So most of the positive traits of Aquarius also have the flip side, which would be shadow aspects of the archetype. things that are things that can be celebrated and utilized and used, like being extremely intellectual or a very forward thinker or an individualist, can also hold some negative qualities. Like when any kind of emotional conflict happens, they are extremely aloof. They don't feel feelings, so much so that they have the natural tendency to intellectualize everything. They are often the person who, when you're trying to talk about emotions with, will kind of psychologically analyze the situation and point out why you might be feeling that way and how feelings aren't really important. It's just a product of a couple chemical reactions in your brain. So do be aware of the need to stay connected to compassion on a one-on-one basis. I can speak from experience because my moon sign is Aquarius, so my emotional world is very, very in tune with some of these traits. A couple other things to maybe watch out for and to be aware of during this time would be not living in the moment, getting too caught up in ideals, too caught up in any kind of futuristic planning, and kind of forgetting that your life is here and now. That's something that can definitely happen when you're in Aquarius. And anxiety tends to be a result of that. We all know that your wheels start turning and you kind of go down a rabbit hole, and that's something that can be really not healthy and not constructive. So hopefully you can channel this energy and become aware of some of the pros and cons so that you can navigate this more successfully and more productively for yourself. Aquarius is the ruler of 11th house, like I mentioned, so when we set intentions, there's kind of 3 or 4 different areas of your life that would best be suited for this energy. The first, which would be kind of in a more career direction, would be building your networking. Sounds very specific, I know, but because Aquarius kind of rules over those social structures and societies and teamwork and building that way, and because it's so futuristic, networking in a career sense to gain a promotion or to have more job stability is actually a great thing to do during an 11th house new moon Aquarius cycle. Networking right now will strengthen your relationships with your coworkers. It's all about who you know, right? In any kind of industry, and kind of fostering those relationships, forming groups, being aware of other people's needs, not getting too dogmatic in one direction for your own ideals and your own dreams, but kind of doing it in a society, group setting, go team direction would be a great area of an intention to set for this period. Another area that you can take this would be directly into kind of humanitarians. So doing any kind of volunteer work, charities, donating, and this doesn't have to be big. It's not like you have to ship out with Red Cross for their next stint in a foreign country. It's about doing everyday small things and obtainable things that will serve and create a better community is a awesome Aquarian energy trait. Fostering and volunteering at animal shelters or soup kitchens, even donating old clothes. These are all things that really serve the whole, getting some perspective on community. We all know there's a lot going on in our world right now, and whatever you believe or whatever direction you want things to go, going out and being actually involved in that is a great thing to do during this time. Peaceful protests. It's all about peaceful. The third kind of area that we would maybe look to set some intentions, and the area that I'm going to be focusing on and working with during this time would be in the area of hopes and dreams and personal ideals. Obviously, it is the beginning of 2020. We're still in January, and we all have that new year, new me resolution thing going strong from New Year's, right? It is in my humble opinion that, astrologically speaking, the actual New Year week, so like the 30th to the 4th or whatever, was actually horrible. horrible energies to be trying to revolutionize and reform bad habits and life things. It was in the middle of 2 eclipses. Like we had a lunar eclipse, I I believe it was a lunar eclipse on the 10th of January. So setting new intentions, like there was so much energy going on there. And I have no doubt from the people I've talked to in my personal life and my own experience that it was a hectic freaking time to try and solidify some new directions and areas you want to grow. So I believe the time is now. A new moon in January in Aquarius in the 11th house. Like, those events are the perfect stew for cosmic creation and redirection. You've got the 11th house, which is literally the house of hopes, dreams, ideals, new directions. New year, new me house is the 11th house. Potential gains, futuristic wealth coming in from your planning, right? So for me, what I'm going to be focusing on now is kind of my new year plan, my resolutions, things that serve me, things that no longer serve me, taking inventory of what's in my life, because the Aquarian energy is very intellectual. It's going to be very much so list making of things that I want to continue, things that I want to drop. So if you didn't jump on the new year, new me bandwagon because it just didn't feel right, me neither. Mine is starting now. The 24th of January, new moon in Aquarius is the perfect time to take stock and set some intentions and focuses for the year to come, or for a couple of months or a few weeks. It doesn't have to be that big and dramatic, but if you are looking to make any kind of futuristic life changes to shift where you're heading, this is the absolute perfect time to do so. So that'll be the area of the sky and life and intention setting that I will be focusing on during this. Now that we've talked about the Aquarian archetype, the 11th house, some of the areas of our lives we might want to set some intentions in, I'm actually going to cue some really relaxing music, disappear behind a pretty picture for about 3 minutes to give you guys some time to do some introspection, self-reflection, and decide what area of your life you're going to set some intentions in. Write them down, make them concrete. Remember that it's usually best to do smaller intentions that will lead you to a larger goal. I will see you back here in about 3 minutes, and we will talk about some positive affirmation setting. So, good luck. Welcome back. I hope you have a clear or some clear intentions and focuses for this lunar cycle. We're going to talk about some positive affirmations that might help. If you have not ever heard of positive affirmations or have ever set a positive affirmation, it is very self-explanatory. It's a little positive statement. It's always best to set a positive affirmation that is talking about the present. So what I mean by that is, instead of saying, I am going to have enough money for rent, you would say, I have enough money for rent. You're speaking about this topic or whatever your affirmation is pertaining to as if it's already happened and is already yours. This is to kind of help your subconscious and the universe align in the energetic realm of whatever your goal is already being your reality. So it's a little bit of spirituality, it's a little bit of psychology. Also, who doesn't like a morning pep talk? You know? I will give you a few examples of some positive affirmations that you could use depending on what area of your life you chose to set intentions in. I am a fair and beloved boss. I am abundant. I have more than enough. I have so much money. Helping one person matters. I am doing everything within my power. If it's a bit more personal and you're looking for some self-love or some inner support, it can always be statements like, I am enough, I am worthy, I am loved, I am safe. Statements like those ones for me are always the most powerful because you're setting an affirmation about yourself, and I believe that the way you think about yourself really affects, changes, and influences your world. So to have a good positive relationship with yourself would be ground zero for me. I am going to be focusing really hard on knowing that I deserve my dreams and my hopes. So I will hopefully be able to push everything out of my life that gets in the way and bad habits that I have created that have stopped me from achieving my potential. So those are just some suggestions and different ways you might be able to use affirmations to support, reiterate, and really drive home your intentions. I view the affirmations kind of as the work to achieve the intention, depending on what your intention is. My last piece of advice in doing this type of work would be to not only cognitively think about your intention or the area of your life, so not intellectualizing it too much, especially when you're doing the affirmations. What I mean by that is you can sit there and cognitively say again and again and again that I am enough, I am enough, I am enough, I am enough, repeating it hundreds of times, and yes, that will start to reprogram your subconscious patterns of thinking and kind of shift you into a more positive outlook. However, I find it much more healing or therapeutic to not just repeat these words, but to really feel the meaning behind them. Instead of just sitting there focusing on saying 3 words, I am enough, really embody what that would feel like for you. It's hard with some of them because you've never maybe felt them before, which is why you're doing the affirmation. But to sit down, close your eyes, and say, I am enough, and let that really hit home. What does it mean to feel enough? To feel loved, to know that you have your own back. And it doesn't have to be something so dramatic or extreme as that. It can be something like, I am abundant. So what does it look like for you to be abundant? Maybe it's being able to not have to check your bank account before you pay for your friend's lunch, or make it through a gift-giving season without going into debt. Or it's the freedom behind being able to purchase your favorite CD. Oh, I just sounded really old. But does that make sense? What does being abundant feel like for you? What is the emotion you're trying to achieve by doing this work? Focusing on that and feeling that feeling while you're saying these affirmations is what's really going to bring into alignment that energy in the universe for you. that is it for me today, guys. I hope you enjoyed our new moon ritual and intention setting. If you have questions or any feedback for me, by all means leave it in the comments below. Be sure to like this video and subscribe so that you can stay in the loop for all of our future new moon videos. We will be doing one for every new moon of 2020 and working our way through the zodiac as well. Let me know what intentions you've set if you want to. I am very interested. Have a fantastic day. Remember, you can do anything because you are a badass, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!